Hello, my name is Malika Bazda. Welcome to PMX Prez. Whilst they count the days to the launch of their manifesto on October 8th, 2016, the opposition MPP is not ceding an inch of the political space to the governing NDC, which has launched its manifesto and is hit the ground running. At a press conference today, the minority in Parliament raised questions about roads. They termed this the true state of the road network in Ghana. What is the case of the minority in relation to roads? When we come back from the break, I will introduce my guest. We'll settle for this discussion. Stay tuned. Yeah, welcome back. We are discussing rules. My guest is Kobna Ochiri Daku Mensa. He's a member of Parliament for Takoradi and a member of the Road and Transport Committee of Parliament. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you.
What's the problem with, what's the case you guys have against roads? Are you dazed by the vast road network being shown by the government?
Not at all. We believe that Ghanaians need to know the truth and that all that the NDC is starting around as unprecedented road infrastructure are all lies. In fact, if you ask the NDC how many kilometers they've added to the national road network, they won't tell you. They'd rather be telling you names of towns and villages. Fufusa Sola, Dodo Pepeso, Christian Kwanta. This is the kind of thing they'll be telling you.
Yes,
but we want them to tell, but we want them to tell us the work they've done. And that is why we are bringing the true states of the roads in this country. And this data has been compiled from the Ministry of Roads and Transport's own analytical and statistical reports, okay, and the presentations they've been making to Parliament, so that Ghanaians know that the NDC is just not performing. And I'll give you some statistics. If you take the time we took over power from 2000, the road network, 2001, the road network in this country was just 37,000 kilometers, the whole country. Through the industry of President.
When you say 37,000, were these tarred roads?
No.
Both
all roads in Ghana.
Done.
Yes.
Tarred, Fider roads, first grade,
everything, all the roads in Ghana.
37,000 kilometers.
Yes. When the NPP came to power, we opened up the roads. We sent more, we were able to make sure we tarred the link roads and other things to make sure that more communities can come onto a national road network. And we did that up to 67,000 kilometers. And that gives you about 30,000 additional kilometers that government was working on.
How do we verify these figures?
These figures, like I said, they're here. This comes from the Ministry of Roads. You can check them. These are documents that come from the Ministry of Roads and Transport, Roads and Highways all the time. Okay. Now, between 2008 to 2015, the NDC was only able to add up 4,128.
I mean, this is believable.
Yes, and that is why it's so shocking that the NDC can even have the guts to go out there and behave as if that they've done so much work. They've done nothing. I mean, if you take the amount of resources that have gotten to the NDC and the amount of resources that has gotten to us, we were spending about 20 billion for our 8 years. The NDC have gotten over 248 billion, and they've just done only 4,120, and that's just only about 1.1%.
When you mention this revenue,
yes,
are you not being disingenuous because you appear to be ignoring the fact that your government benefited from debt forgiveness?
Oh, I think that you're also making a big mistake, because even the HIPIC debt forgiveness, we are still enjoying them through HIPIC, or what the NDC will call SIP. It's for a 25-year period. So the NDC is also enjoying this benefit. So this argument,
you enjoyed more relatively?
No, we didn't enjoy more, because it's the same amount of money we're supposed to collect and send back to the British Rouge institution that you are being allowed to spend here in Ghana. So everybody is enjoying the money through the ingenuity of President Kufuor. So that money, after we have enjoyed it for 8 years, the NDC has also enjoyed it for 8 years. So I don't see where the issue should come up.
So you say you had 20 billion?
Yes, and we did 30,000 kilometers of expanding the road network in this country. And they've only done 4,128. Okay, so it shows that they're still not working. I mean, if you take the quality of the roads, you know, roads are also categorized into 3 states: good, fair, and poor. Okay, as at the time the NPP was leaving power, good roads in this country was 42% of the total road network we had. After we have expanded it, the fair conditioned roads was around.
So out of the 67,000, about 40% of that you say constitutes
42%. Yes,
42%
at that time, yes,
good roads.
Good roads, yes, constitute the good roads, yes. And then, at the time we were leaving office, the poor condition was 32%. Okay, as we speak today, after 8 years in office of the NDC, the poor condition is still 32, but the good roads have deteriorated. That the good roads are now only 35% of the road network that we have. 7% drop.
Do these figures add up?
Yes, they add up.
There are 67,000 kilometers of road,
yes,
as of 2009.
Yes, please.
And you are saying this government added just 4,000.
Yes, making it 71,000.
Making it 71,000
for 8 years.
And 71,000. And you say the rate of poor roads is 32%.
Yes.
32%, 71. That's more than 100%.
No, 32 in percentages. When I say 71,000 kilometers, that's the normal kilometers I'm talking about.
Okay.
But I'm talking about in categorizing the roads as good, bad, or fair.
Okay. Or poor.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. In that instance, the NDC, as we speak today, we still have the 32, which was poor, and then we still have the good ones that are supposed to be 42% or more. It's down to 35%. So we are getting more of our good roads under President Kufuor deteriorating to fair condition, which is about 33%, and therefore it shows that they are not doing very well. Okay, more so when they've had so much money at their disposal, over 248 billion Ghana cedis.
Okay, let's take the roads. We have seen your government started a gang of 4 and couldn't complete them. This government...
They have still not completed.
This government came, completed some.
No, they are not completed. The gang of 4 is still not completed.
We have... The gang of 4 is not completed? Yes. How is that?
Yes. Tezakwashi Madina is still not completed. Road furniture has still not been finalized. They have still not been completed. So the projects are still ongoing.
Because your government didn't make any provision in terms of finances to complete these projects. You just started them.
That is a lie. That is a lie. How do government raise money to invest in projects? They collect taxes. So as you collect tax, you invest in your infrastructure. So if you tell me we didn't make any provision, you are telling a lie to the government.
But we don't collect enough. So all of these heavy projects, we tend to rely on grants or loans or...
Not all. Not all. It's not all the time. There are roads that are being done with government finances, I mean direct taxes. Okay? And therefore, nobody can give an excuse that because the road was started this year and we have to move on to the following year, we need to get a loan specifically for the project before we can say that it's a government project. No. As far as taxes and loans are money, they are all money to be used for national investment and national infrastructure. So it's up to the government to prioritize what they want to do and do them. When we were working on these roads, the roads were moving on steadily, and therefore nobody can tell us we didn't have resources for them. Taxes are a resource of the nation, and they are used for... And
I was pointing out to you, we know the Damango Fufurusu Sola Road, we know about the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, another one is going to happen at Obechabe Lamte Circle, we know the Dodo Pepesu Road, we know all of these. The government has done major roads. They may have done 4,000.
But all these roads we are talking about don't even end up more than 5% of the national road network. So what is so unprecedented about them? Tell me.
It may be their significance. Because
of the significance?
You can't place when the Kufuor government did the Accra Kumasi Road and the Cape Coast one, the Accra Cape Coast Road. Those are so central.
Irrespective of Accra Cape Coast or Kumasi Accra, you know for a fact that the number of kilometers we did are far more than what the NDC is doing.
Those are your figures that I am unable to independently verify.
Yes, so that's what these are not my figures. I've given you the document. This document doesn't come from me. This document comes from the Ministry of Roads and Transport. This document don't come from me, and we have placed a copy of this document in Parliament. Okay, so don't get worried about it. We are only compiling them for you, and I'm giving you samples of it. You can look on the first page how the road network was expanded over the period. The condition mix is there. That's the black one you are seeing. So these documents don't come from the MPP. They come from the ministry.
Your government has consistently argued that some of the government's projects are inflated.
Yes. Yes.
What's the basis for this claim?
Okay. This is the Africa Development Bank report, a 10-year study on road development in Africa, especially asphalt projects. And if you come to this document, page 2 of the document, it gives a summary of how roads should cost normally within the system. And it says that if you are doing less than 100 kilometers lane of asphalt, the median cost, I mean that is the average, minimum average cost, should not be more than 227,800
per kilometer.
Per kilometer lane.
Okay.
That means that if I say per kilometer lane, it means that if you have a single, not a dual carriage, you have a single lane road. You have one coming this way, the other one
going down.
When you take just one side of it and calculate it per kilometer, it shouldn't cost more than $227,000. Okay. Currently, the NDC is doing roads at 1 million and 1.4 million per kilometer lane, and we feel that is very expensive.
1 million per kilometer. That sounds outrageous.
That is why in Parliament, when we're discussing even the Beche Bilamte, we insisted that the amount of 700,000 per kilometer lane on that project was very expensive.
Let me show the document to the camera. At these figures,
yeah,
how can a government do a road that would cost 1 million per kilometer? That sounds outrageous.
Yes. So take for instance the road from Accra to Cape Coast. I mean Yamransa. Yes. It is 137 kilometers. It cost the MPP $80 million. So if you are doing a Kaswa project which is about 20 kilometers and we are paying about 172 million, naturally we will ask questions and we'll say it's expensive.
But sometimes that
and it's because you don't have the information. That's why we are providing you the information.
And that's the thing. When you raise this Kaswa interchange and your flag bearer and Ekufado claimed that the project had been inflated, one of your own members of Parliament and discounted that claim.
He did not discount it. A lot of you didn't listen to what he said. He was asked a question. Why is that he was in Parliament and this issue came up and it was passed? And that was the question. Why was it passed? And as a professional, what was his position? And he said that he had cross-checked some of the quantities, which is some of the professionals in the system. And these are the figures they gave him. And therefore, he believes Nanado has done an extra work. Listen carefully, and that's on tape at Joy FM. Nanado has done an extra work, and therefore Nanado might be right. Because he is giving the circumstances under which he had been present for that document.
I heard him say that so the figures were right.
No, he said he had cross-checked with his counterparts, professional counterparts in the system, in the ministries. And these are the figures they are giving him. Okay? You understand? So it was a professional matter. And that he feels that Nanado had done an extra work and Nanado might be right. So please check your tape and then come again on this matter.
Apart from the Kaswa one, are there any specific roads that you, the minority, and if you often tout you have the men, if you have the men, you should have been able to go and do independent work, road by road, and tell us that this road should have cost this much because this is the quantity of material that was the quantity and quality of material that was used for this road, and this is what it should have cost.
Okay.
You failed to do.
We have not failed to do that. You remember recently, Honorable Joe Ajaho made a comment.
The Speaker of Parliament.
He made a comment that the Roads Committee had failed him, and we also insisted that we have not failed him. He has rather failed us. You remember that story?
Yes.
Because this gang of 4 roads, for instance, we had gotten the opportunity to inspect them, and we realized that consistently all the roads seems to have different procedures for the construction, and therefore the pricing we also felt was also inconsistent. These are reports that we had made and submitted to Parliament, and we expected to have the opportunity to debate on the matter, but we didn't have that opportunity. And as far as a lot of the rules, the engineers are telling us that pricing and construction and everything varies. Sometimes it's very difficult to put your hand on the specific area they are stealing from. Okay, and therefore we also always need the opportunity to bring the issues to Parliament, for Parliament to say that, look, this is the way we should go. For instance, in 2015, I remember the Minister for Roads and Transport nearly got his budget approval suspended because we demanded from him to give us a new policy on how roads will be designed and maintained in the country. Because we came to find out that what has been happening is that roads that have been designed for, say, 7 years start deteriorating just after 1 year after they've been handed over. And therefore we felt that because we felt that Ghanaians were not getting value for money, and that if roads had been designed for 7 years, and they should at least last up to the 7 years before maintenance even come up on those roads. And therefore the design was very, very important. Okay, it's only until recently that we've heard that when they went to Ho, they've been trying to come up with some proposals to make sure that the right thing is done, especially the design period and then the construction period, and then the number of years that the road will last for us not to lose a lot of money. So these are the issues we've been debating. But if you say we should have independent assessment, these are some of the assessments we are doing. At least this alone gives us that we are doing some work.
But if you just compile a list of routes and say, okay, these roads, we have done more routes and they didn't do. Why did you wait until September?
No, we didn't wait until September
to come and visit this.
If you take our argument on roads, ever since I became a deputy ranking member of roads and transport, we have always argued about the cost of roads in the country. We have always argued about the inability of the NDC government to perform in the road sector, and especially the construction of more roads for more towns, so that more people will have access to good quality roads, because they also affect socioeconomic issues like access to market, access to hospitals, access to schools, access to work. And therefore these are issues that we have always been talking about in Parliament. And like I mentioned earlier when we were here, most of the time when it gets to the real debate, especially on the appropriation and then the present state of the nation, by the time it gets about 2 o'clock, when Parliament is actually in full swing, most of the media people had left. So I'll be grateful if you can come to Parliament.
You just had a press conference. Why don't you do that more frequently? And you were talking about the gang of 4.
Yeah.
And I'm just reading, and I remember that story.
Yeah.
The speaker was upset.
Yes.
That the committee and the entire house allowed this nation to suffer such huge penalties that there was more than double, in fact quadruple jump in the original cost.
Because they had varied the contract. They had varied part of the contract.
How?
Because initially they were supposed to do, I think, 4 lanes. By the time they realized, they had added some additional works, which was not approved by Parliament. That was 1. And 2, the auditing and then the signing for the certificates to be paid, I think that was also delayed in the ministries. And therefore, when the guy started getting payment, they were due for interest payment. And that has also increased the value or the cost of, not the value, but the cost of the project. And that is where the speaker was complaining. And we told him that if he had also looked at our report earlier, the one I was talking about, these issues wouldn't have also come up.
In your press statement, in your press conference today, you said the government performance on Fider Road has been spectacularly poor.
Yes.
Why do you say that?
And we are saying that Fider roads are kind of roads that most of the time we don't have bituminous surfaces on them. And therefore, if government is not paying contractors, they are due. The roads that have been done, they will not be maintained. And because it's just gravel, and when I use the word gravel, it's not quarry, it's like laterite, the red soil. Fantastic.
Yeah, red gravel.
Fantastic. When we lead them to the weather, within short space of time, they deteriorate further. And therefore, if government is not paying contractors to maintain these roads, virtually they deteriorate far worse than the normal, maybe bituminous surface. And therefore, in the nutshell, within the NDC period of 8 years, only 22% of these roads are being maintained, and we feel that 22% is not good performance in maintaining those roads.
How central are Fider roads?
Fider Road is central. They are central. They have a head office in Accra, and they have the regional offices.
Now I'm talking about the importance of feeder routes.
So very central. You know, all our cocoa growing areas, it's through these feeder roads that they are able to bring the cocoa back into the harbour cities for them to be exported.
The government has started its achievements in this area. It's done extremely well by the figures, feeder routes.
But the figures don't show anything.
And making the life of the
but the figures that is coming from the president himself proves otherwise. If you have 42% good roads and they've deteriorated that you now have 35% good roads, you cannot be claiming glory for what you have not done. Clearly, your own figures is telling you that you are lying. And if you look at the performance in the road sector, it is a spectacular failure on the part of the NDC. It's spectacular. I mean, if you have 248 billion Ghana cedis and somebody had only 20 billion, could do so much, expand the network so much, tar more roads so much, clearly, then this is not performing.
Are you not just being disingenuous here, Honorable? When you look at, especially talking about the cost,
is the cost or the amount that are accrued to them? I'm
actually talking about the cost.
Yes.
The cost, the bare cost.
Yeah, but I've shown you figures from ADB.
The cost of, say, a kilometer of road under the Kufuor government certainly can't be the same now, because
it's like
under the Kufuor government,
it's like telling me that it's like telling me that when MTN builds a 6-classroom block and it costs MTN 170 million, it is normal for the NDC to build the same school and for Ghanaians to pay 510,000 Ghana cedis. Is that what you're saying?
I think an explanation was offered with this one.
I
remember that
the location was different.
One of the deputy
the location was different.
Kobia Champong.
That the location was different.
Kobia Champong explained that the school built by the state had toilet facilities and others which the MTN school didn't have.
That is a lie. MTN built a classroom without a toilet.
Were actually tiled and others, and they had
which schools were tiled? The MTN one or the government one?
The government one.
Please, you shouldn't go there. I want you to go and investigate, and you yourself should report back to your own session. That's a lie. If you are also talking about figures in MPP time shouldn't be equal to figures in NDC time, you should ask yourself, what's the rate of inflation? And who causes inflation? Who causes exchange rate depreciation? It's not the same government that has put up the Bank of Ghana to manage interest rates, manage inflation, and manage the...
But in terms of inflation, they did better than you, because under Mills, they had a long spell of single-digit inflation for almost 20 months.
For Christ's sake. For Christ's sake. Which government hasn't been able to maintain...
Your government chased a single-digit inflation.
What about exchange rate? What about exchange rate? And what are they doing now? Now they are doing more than 18%, 18.6. So, what's the argument? They don't have any argument on this matter.
It's actually 16, not 18. It fell from 18 to 16 points. Yes.
When?
The last month, August. August inflation was 16 point something.
Yesterday, this morning when I was reading graphic, it was 8.2. 8.2. And they still couldn't, if they had fallen to 16, they could have easily reduced the policy rate. But they still kept the policy rate at 26%. So check the figures again.
Are you doing roads campaign?
Like what?
Because the majority are leading, or the NDC is leading you in terms of the political debate.
Which one?
You put out Boche Jacko to attack them. It didn't quite work. Now you, your side in Parliament, this appears to be a hurriedly organized press conference to try and see.
No, this press conference should have even come before Dr. Baumia's state of the economy. Okay? But because we're virtually in the same week, we have to push this one this week. We are not chasing the NDC. We are telling the truth about the roads situation in the country. Look, when Anado came to Western region, every village, every chief we met complained about the roads in the Western region. Every chief in every village we met. Even though some added issues about...
Which is a failing partly that you must take, because if your government did those rules when he had the opportunity in 2001 to 2008, the chiefs wouldn't be complaining today.
Yeah, but the roads we came to meet was only 37,000 kilometers. And if we had been able to expand the network to 67,000, and say we didn't do well, if they have collapsed the roads in the last 8 years and the chiefs are complaining, you want to put the blame on us? Please. The roads are done for 40-year periods. What is the period now? It's 40 years. So even if we did an asphalt under President Kufuor in the first year, by now we should be doing an upgrade.
I was in the Western region.
We should be doing an upgrade, or we should be tiring the roads, or we should be maintaining those roads.
I was in the
It's like building a house. When they build a house and it's even 10 billion, every 2 years you should be painting the house.
I was in the Western region.
Otherwise the house will deteriorate.
Some of the roads I saw are in such a poor state that you can see clearly they have never been repaired before.
They've never been repaired before. And how many years do you give to it under the 8 years regime of the NDC? Because the MPP, we built a lot of roads, we maintained a lot of roads, and even shifted policy in the area of feeder roads from just graveling to bituminous surfaces, because we felt that will stay longer. And that was our policy. We also introduced the cocoa roads concept.
You raised issues with soil sourcing.
Yeah.
Your government passed the law that allows soil sourcing. And when soil sourcing is being used in the award of contracts, you are crying foul. When you were passing the law, why didn't you just eliminate any such loophole?
I believe that when you are passing a law, there's an account saying that says that if you didn't you understand? When we're coming up with the
Public Procurement Act,
you come to realize that procurement in Ghana was very terrible. So we needed to start from a base somewhere, such that people will get into the concept of using the law so that it can work. And you know that laws are made such that more people can use them, so that the few who misbehave can be taken care of through sanctions, through the law. So when we passed the Procurement Act, the idea was for Ghanaians to embrace a new culture of procurement in the system. Naturally, to every rule there's an exception.
But you left
to every rule there's an exception.
And you left
to every rule there's an exception.
And when the rule is being used,
no.
Honorable, I have to take a break.
The essence of soul sourcing was for Ghanaians to get better value in circumstances that we did not have enough people to do that type of contract.
I have to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue from there. And I will be asking Honorable, where is the evidence that this government has largely in the award of contracts in the road sector adopted soul sourcing? And why do you think that is a problem? You're watching PM Express and we are discussing roads. Stay tuned. Yeah, welcome back. We are discussing roads on PM Express and we are asking the minority, you passed the public procurement law. You allowed soul sourcing. The government is using soul sourcing. Why are they crying foul? My guest is Kobna Ocheridaku, MP for Takrady. You inserted in this law a regime for soul sourcing.
Yeah.
Of course, there were laid down rules governing soul sourcing. Yeah. Nonetheless, you created a loophole. And when that loophole is being used, you are crying foul.
I'll give you a typical example. When we're in power, a company like Falcoros, the company that marked roads, we had only one company that was doing it. Okay? So for such instances, you couldn't say that you
should be competitive tendency.
So we need to provide such opportunities so we can still get these things done. The NDC are just abusing that clause. For instance, if you take the 2010 procurement report of the PPA, Public Procurement Authority, you realize that 364 requests were made by the ministry. And the 92, yes, soul sourcing requests. And 92% was approved. And we are not getting value for money. Two, if we take, even in 2015, Okay. Now, they've not said it's sole sourcing, but they say it's restricted.
10.
And
but that's also provided for by the law.
I'm saying yes. And for that one too, for the 40 that went to the PPA, they were all approved. And we're not getting value for money.
Why do you think that if you engage in sole sourcing, it necessarily means you're not getting value for money? It just may be the case that
that's why I've given you these figures.
Yes, but the fact that
that's what I've given you
364,
that's what I've given you
92% of them were approved.
If the projects were falling within the ranges that the African Development Bank was talking about, nobody will be complaining. Then we would have understood that there was a genuine need for that project to be done, and therefore somebody has been allocated a job to do at the right price. But when we see that consistently, the prices are well above the recommended average prices or median prices that this work can be done, then naturally there will be a cause for concern that somebody is abusing them. And I've given you the figures. Why is that we are not complaining about Accra Cape Coast?
Contracts costs,
yes,
especially for road construction, are not the same anywhere. For example, if you build a road in the southern sector, that road cannot cost you as much as it would. It shouldn't cost you less than a road of a similar length would cost you in the northern sector, because in the northern sector the terrain is different. The land is probably more leveled and it's more stony and drier, whereas in the southern sector is more swamp areas and you have to do a lot of filling, so the road may cost you more. So if you go and take AFDB figures, they may pertain to some other countries.
It's for the whole of Africa. It's for the whole of Africa. Ghana was included. Ghana rules were included. So don't belittle the AFDB. I don't bring it here. Okay. The fact of the matter is that we agree that there might be individuality about projects. If we don't have standards, how can we even know that these roads are deviating from the norm? How can we? So if we are looking at these issues and we are giving you the figures, clearly you should know that we have also done our work. That is why we are saying that we are not getting value for money. And this sole sourcing that is ongoing is becoming too much. And we are not getting value in this country. How can a project, let's even take this generation plan that was brought in recently from outside.
You're talking about America, Papa and all of that.
Yes.
But there's no any evidence. It's just a wild story.
It's no wild story.
Done by Norwegian.
It is not wild story.
Founded allegations.
Yes, it's not wild story. Because GE is selling this same product for 220 and somebody is selling to us 510. He says it's wild story. And when everybody knows this, when the minority have made their case, and he says wild stories, these are not wild stories.
Okay, let's stick to roads. One of the allegations you make is payment of contractors.
Yeah.
And your cases, there are undue delays.
Yeah.
But this is not a new problem.
In our time, we're paying within 3 months. That's a fact. That is a fact. And then this has gotten us 248 billion, and they cannot pay. Contractors that currently will continue to pay interest on delayed payments. This is a fact. This is not new. You can go to the Contractors Association and ask them the difference.
But we no longer have that problem currently, do we?
We still have. The recent increases was virtually used in paying for some of the money that
you are talking about the levy on the petroleum products.
Yes, basically they were used in paying for the loans that were contracted from SNIT for the road sector, and they are being used to pay them. I believe that when they finish, then the contractors would also get their share of the money.
Why is this a problem?
Yes, one of the basic reasons why it is a problem is that one, the values of the roads are too expensive for the work that's supposed to be done.
How? But
And
if a contract is awarded,
and two, government
the
is also,
prices are fixed.
you see?
If a contract is awarded,
No, it's not
the price
fixed.
is fixed.
It's not fixed. Anytime you delay the payment within after 3 months, there's a compounding interest that goes with what is left for government to pay if certificates have been issued. So it is not fixed. Even though you have a fixed contract, if government delays in payment, government pays interest on those loans.
Is there any specific example to back this claim
That
about contracts or contract sums going up because the price has fallen?
yeah, that the price has fallen.
Yeah, I'm saying that contract sums going up because government has delayed in payment.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of examples all over the country. That happens all the time. I know that cocoa roast, for instance, cocoa board paid government to pay cocoa roast contractors, but government used the money for something else. Okay, currently as they are paying with interest, and I know that for a fact.
Yeah, and that's one of the issues you raise about interest.
But that's why you expect me to be mentioning contractor's name. The next time the government will be.
How much interest are we paying, and how much of this is a problem?
Well, government is paying Bank of Ghana rate +2. Okay.
What does that mean?
And that it means that if the policy rate, the interest on the treasury bill is say currently 26%. If government is paying the contractor, he pays the amount of money that he owes the contractor plus 26% +2, so it will be 28% on the money that government hasn't paid the contractor on the certificate that they've raised.
What's your problem with the road fund?
Road fund basically is supposed to be used in maintaining roads, because like I said earlier, if you build a 20 million mansion,
And this is money that is taken from the tolls.
the tolls is just about 7% of the road fund now. It used to be about 17%. Okay, but the fuel levy is where the bulk of the money comes from. And basically,
we have seen this government. Sometimes you go to bed, by the next morning your road is asphalted.
Oh, please.
And we have seen that all over the place.
You know what happens? You know, when we are building a road, okay, after 7 years for normal bituminous surface, like what we call shaping, after 7 years you need to go back and redo the road. If you do an asphalt, you're talking about 10 years to 14 years, you should go back. When you are building a road too, you know that there's a structure. You have the sub-base, you have the base, you have the pavement, and then the wearing course. The asphaltic overlay that is going on currently is basically what we call the wearing course. Okay, and that one shouldn't cost you more than 10% of the road construction. So in fact, if you say currently government has done like 102 kilometers of asphaltic overlay across the length and breadth of the country, but in terms of cost, it's only equal to 10 kilometers of actual road done. So if Sekenita Credit they've done 9 kilometers, then we are talking about just 0.9.
When the people are not interested in these fine figures, Honorable, our interest is that when we go to bed and we wake up, the government has asphalted our roads.
Those roads are maintenance work. They are not expanding.
Nonetheless, they lease.
And those roads, they are maintenance work. Maintenance work is done by every government. Every government does maintenance work. That is why under the MPP, it moved from 29% to 42% of good roads. If the NDC was actually doing proper maintenance work over the period, the value wouldn't have dropped from 42% to 35%. So clearly it shows that they are not doing the work. They are not doing the work. Clearly shows that they are not doing the work. So if it's a interval, you have done even 20 kilometers for the whole of Western region, it amounts to only 2 kilometers. So the question you ask yourself is, where is the rest of the 8 kilometers that could have been used in expanding the network? In terms of value, yes, it can be gimmick, because maintenance is just how it's maintenance. Because the people's roads are maintenance work. The people maintenance work. That is why, because it's just maintenance work and they're not doing real construction. That is why a lot of these new asphaltic overlays, it's not asphaltic construction overlay, are deteriorating even when they are done. I mean, give yourself an example, the road, the Spinters Road. If you are driving on that road, you can see more than 24 spots that have been cut and redone. Okay, because the substructure of the work is not well. All over the country, this is what's happening. They're deteriorating. That's why I'm saying that even though it might be magic to some people, I remember there was a day somebody was mentioning it on your studio here, I think it was between Bulldog and A+.
Yes.
And I started laughing. You remember that?
I remember. It was Ghana Connected.
Yes. I know what Bulldog said and what A+ said. He said what was magic was that you put the photo of the president on a bus, and the next day Ghana is charged $3.5 million. That's the kind of thing that is happening with this Asfatiko Valley. Are
you not doing all of this because you have just suddenly realized that this is a game changer? It's a winner for the government.
For us,
because people are excited about
no. For us, this is just maintenance work, which every government would do when they are in power. And if the NDC were doing it consistently and properly, road condition mix in terms of good roads in this country wouldn't have fallen to 35%. If they were doing it, it should have been rising all the way to like 70%. But they're not working after getting 248 billion Ghana cedis.
My question still stands.
And you should know that it's not happening in all the towns, it's only happening in just a few districts.
But those few districts, a lot of them are heavily populated areas. I drive up Newtown, I drive through Nima, and these were very horrible roads, and all of them have been done. And I drive through Dankwa and heading towards Labadi. Those were very horrible roads.
It is not a game changer. It's not a game changer, not at all. But that's why we have to explain to you that this is maintenance work. When this road, but it's normal. Bush Road is a new construction. Are you not talking about the Bush Road behind?
Yes.
Yes, and then the trade fair. Yeah. These ones are these are new construction. And when you put all these new construction together, they don't even come up to 6% of the national road network. So they're not working. They're not working.
The problem is that this is a hard.
You're only in Accra. But come to the villages, come to the hinterlands, and see what is happening. They're not working.
My colleague Manasseh Azure went through the Damango, I think the Damango Fufu. So
these are new roads. These are new. When you add them together,
he went to the
yes, these are new roads. That's the Fufusa Solar. No, that is the Fufusa Solar Road.
Yes, Fufusa Solar. Yes, and he was excited.
But in the same way, people will be excited when the road was built from the longest road under one government was built from Circle all the way to Bole Bamboy. When the Bole Bamboy road was also done, it was government's responsibility. He did it. And the President Kufo, 645 kilometers, the longest road network built under one government. Even Nkrumah, who was there for 15 years, did not build such a long road at a time.
Yeah, but you see, the ordinary citizens are not bothered.
The ordinary citizens, no, but the ordinary citizens also don't believe in last meetings to get their vote. So also understand that gimmick. Ordinary citizens also don't believe in it.
These are not just last minute. Some of these asphalt overlays you are talking about started in 2014.
Which one?
And a lot of them.
Which one started in 2014?
The cantonments ones, the East Legon ones, a lot of them were done in 2014. Not 2014, 2015. Those were
you should understand that the Spintex Road has actually collapsed before they were done as road construction. Okay, so people are not going to sit down and think that because somebody is doing Asfatico Valley overnight, it means that
what would the NPP do differently in the road sector? What would you do differently in the event that you win the elections?
Yes, we believe that more communities need more roads, and we are going to expand the network further so that more communities will be brought on board, and we believe that we'll be doing more than what we did in the first under President Kufo. 2, we also believe that a lot of the roads that have gravel surfaces would be treated with new technology such that the dust would immediately reduce, so that communities who even have to wait for their turn for bituminous surfaces will not suffer under this current arrangement. There are new technologies like the EnviroTac, which we plan to apply extensively throughout the length and breadth of the country to make sure that more gravel roads are covered, such that the dust is reduced and it's more firmer for communities to be able to use them.
Where is the money going to come from to do all of this?
I've told you, value for money. I've told you, value for money. If President Kufo can do 137 kilometers for $80 million, the Nado government will do virtually the same thing.
Why should anybody trust the NPP to do this? Why should anybody want to bring MPP into power to do this when you have a certain government which is doing the same, and people go to the Kwame Nkrumah interchange and they are excited because they used to spend 25 minutes, 30 minutes sitting in a distance that they should do in less than 5 minutes. This government has built bridges and people just drive through. The government realizes that
even Rollins did Sankara interchange. Even Rollins was a military ruler, got himself elected this Sankara interchange. President Kufuor did interchanges. So what is extraordinary about interchanges?
Yes, they are long overdue. Extraordinary is that
they are long overdue.
Your government, they are long elected the Kwame Nkrumah circle, which is a convergence point for many people in the capital.
And the Sankara at that time.
This government decided.
Are you saying that Sankara was not a convergence point?
Not as central as the Kwame Nkrumah circle.
Please.
And this government is very visionary. They are promising in the 2016 manifesto to do a Bechebelamte circle.
So the Bechebelamte has been promised is started this year. When circle was done, Parliament, MPs recommended that Obechebe be done, because we felt that if you move the traffic from circle and you cannot move it away from Kaneshi, they have not done any work. So that was our recommendation.
So it's not vision. You didn't make the funding available. It's this government that has gone to to come and do it. So you must give them credit for it.
There's something that you need to appreciate. When you're in government and you're giving resources, like the NDC have been giving resources, they should be building 20 more or even 10 more of circle.
But we didn't do say.
But we had 20 billion. We had 20 billion. At least. We did interchanges. Kumasi, and the rest we did interchanges.
Apart from Tetekwashi and
which we did Tetekwashi. We did the Kumasi one. That's Asafo.
Yes.
We did it. The one going to Buakwa in Kumasi, Pempe College area. We also did it. When the NDC came to power, the flyovers had been done. So that's the finishing part of the work that was
ongoing. This government is done. They are doing
yes.
They are doing Sofo line. They are doing
no.
They are doing
the Sofo line was done by President Kufuor. They only came to complete it. But the work had been done. The flyovers, as they should be up, they have been done. They have been done before the NDC came to power. They have been done. So please don't go there.
But nonetheless, the NDC completed that one.
What is government is continuum. Government, so you must go down. No. What I'm saying is that the work they should have done, 12 times what we did, because they've gotten 12 times the money we got. They are challenging. What's the challenge? They are challenging what? They are challenging the figures?
Yes.
Which one? Which figure have they come up with?
Well, they haven't given any figures.
Then also challenge them to bring out the figures.
They have disputed the figures you are.
Which one?
You have changed that.
Is it 20 billion, or is the loan of over 105 billion they borrowed, or the taxes they've collected? Which of them are they challenging? Or they want to discount the figure? If they discount the 240 billion, then they should also be discounting the 20 billion. They should be discounting it with all the inflation and the rest. If they discount, then they should discount. Otherwise, we keep the figures the same.
If you just mentioned 240 billion without having regards to the exponential growth in wage bill and all of that, you are.
I'm coming. In our time, President Kufuor was paying salary increases year on year. So why don't you also be discounting it?
Not as much as this, because there was no single spine. Your government prepared a single spine on your last day. You just signed it and left. This government had to find the money.
We would have still paid single spine. It wouldn't have been a headache like it's a headache for the NDC. They either a dump or they are inexperienced in managing some of these things. This one, they can't complain about it, because revenues in this country has also been increasing. So if revenues have been increasing, and they have been wasting the money on public procurement, they cannot accuse any Ghanaian that they have a bigger bill to pay. If the Wyomings, the Gigas, and the Subers have been been an avenue for stealing state resources, they would have easily paid their salaries, and nobody would have complained. So they have to do 12 times the work we have done, which they have not. In fact, for the potential they should have done, they've only done 1.14%. And that is spectacular failure. That is a big, spectacular failure. This is is even beyond incompetence.
And you believe that MPP can find the money?
Yes, and we'll find the money and we'll deliver. And we'll deliver such that it will be so effective it will affect more people across the length and breadth of this country. Under President Kufuor, this country changed.
Talk is cheap.
It's not cheap. When we promised national health insurance, we delivered. Then they said promised one-time premium. They ran away from it. They said we were going to build 5,000 capacity district stadiums in their own manifesto. They did not even deliver one. They promised 250 schools. They've done 9.
They said 200.
Yes, they've done
community days.
They've done 9.
200.
They've done 9. They've done 9.
120.
No. They must provide a list. They should provide a list on their own website. When they came, they couldn't provide a list because they know when they start providing a list, the community will start speaking. They can't provide a list. When we say we deliver, then people will deliver. We deliver. We say we're going to build model schools, and we built them.
They didn't build though.
We built them. We did Western region. Every region was supposed to get 4. Western region, we got our 4. Amenfiman, Shama, Bedubensu, and Seshiri also. We built them. And we're bigger, better, and now they are all first-class schools in Ghana. That's our vision. We're able to achieve it.
My secondary school was selected. It's not a first-class school. Of course, there are improvements, but it's not a first-class school.
Mine is first-class. Shama is first-class. Bedubensu is first-class now. We also is not first-class. Amenfiman is not first-class. So if your people are not managing it well, ask them to manage it well.
It's not about managing it well. I'm just putting on record that my school, of course, there's been
mine is
significant improvement.
Yes, but that alone is enough to let you know that it's better than before. Because we wanted these schools to be like the Fanskims, like the Achimotes, like the Prempes, and we've been able to achieve them with our Intercrady in the Western region.
There are those who feel that
it's like the schools in the north that government decide not to pay them the feeding grant. How do you expect child schools to be able to set up?
But that has been resolved now. That's no longer an issue, which is
so all the time that the issue was not resolved, it was naturally bringing down the school's performance. Oh,
okay. Let's take it to roads.
That's okay.
I think
yes,
and I think that this is a view many people hold.
Okay,
that roads are important.
Yeah.
You guys are raising all of these because first you were in denial. That when the government talked about infrastructure development,
we are not in denial. The figures have shown you that we are not in denial. The figures have shown you that the government is not
been given a rude awakening.
It's not a rude awakening.
You are now saying, okay,
this is not a rude. I want you to also, let me give you some work to do. I want you to look at our debates from 2009. I want to give you some work to do. 2009 all the way to 2016, State of the Nation Address and the budget. And look at our debates and responses on roads. Let me give you some names. You can look at my responses. You can look at Honorable Odiomi's responses. You can look at Honorable IP. Just the three of us. Just the three of us. And look at our responses on roads. On roads. And you see that we have been saying this consistently. And like I said, most of the time when it gets to debate, you are not there. The media is not there to carry the message out. So we have not been giving any rude awakening. Right from the one, we've been telling them that they are not getting things right. And the figures are not getting right. In fact, I remember one debate I was doing, even Honorable Kujato got up and said that we have also increased the length of the network. And I said they should give me the figures. I couldn't give me.
And you were seeking to draw a linkage between the performance of the agri sector to the roads.
Yeah.
It's not a very strong linkage.
There's a strong linkage. I think that the example we gave was just one example. But if you look at the performance of agri over the years under President Kufuor, you realize that with the expansion of the network, we're able to get more produce to market. We're able to get productivity with our cocoa and a lot of other things, because if the cocoa stay in the bush and they cannot come out to the city centers to be pushed to the harbor cities, naturally they'll get spoiled. And that's a loss. Post-harvest losses. So roads are very key to market. And I'll give you some typical information I think I have here. I can give them to you in one of my documents. I think the document with you. This one. Yes, the data one. Yeah, this one. If you take for instance, obstacles to visiting health facilities. Okay, you realize that if you come to say Western region, even though we contribute like 60% to national GDP, we're the third list in getting access to health facilities because our roads are bad. Okay, when you come to something like say people going to their workplaces,
we have just
affected first when it comes to
do you
rules.
think that MPP can win the rules debate? What is that one thing that you think can win you the debate?
What can win us the debate is that Ghanaians continue to face difficulty accessing good rules across the length and breadth of the country. And all that the NDC is saying, Ghanaians see this as a gimmick because the actual performance they need to do, they've not done it with the kind of resources that they've received. And more people expect to receive their roads get roads in better condition, but their roads are not in better condition. They think that they have failed them.
And then I should say thank you to Kobna Ochiri Dako Mensah. You are the Member of Parliament. He's a Member of Parliament for Takrady. He's also a member of the Committee on Roads and Transport in Parliament. My name is Malik Abbas Dabu. God willing, we'll bring you another exciting discussion on PM Express, God willing, next week. Until then, you have a fabulous weekend. Bye-bye.